Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about today. But first, let me remind you that towards the end of this video, I am going to be disclosing who the winner of last week's silver giveaway was, and that's 5 ounces. And I will fill you in on what you need to do in order to enter to win this week's silver giveaway. But first, let's talk about what is coming in 2026. And believe it or not, I hate using the word predicted, but for a lack of better word, it's already been predicted. So you're going to have to continue to prepare if you're already preparing. And if you're not, then what are you waiting for, ladies and gentlemen? I'm not here to scare you into doing something that I want you to do. Even if I was, you're going to do what you want to do. However, I am here to try to get you as best informed as possible with actionable intel that will allow you to look at things a little bit clearer and maybe understand it better for yourselves so that you can make the decisions that are best for you and your family going forward. Because unless you are extremely blessed, the affordability crisis is going to be worse in 2026, ladies and gentlemen, and it will continue to get worse for years to come. Will things ever get any better, AP? Yes, they will. We are almost towards the end of this cycle of crises, and things will get better, but you have to be prepared in order to make it through to that next paradigm shift. And stay tuned, because after we talk about the affordability crisis, I'm going to share with you a chart that has existed for 100+ years that has pretty much predicted all of the previous or prior and future crises that we're going to have as far as affordability, as far as finances, as far as the economy goes. The affordability crisis is becoming too difficult to ignore. Housing and food prices are a major concern for a majority of Americans, as many decide whether they are going to pay their electricity bill or buy food. Now, we've all been hearing this on the news, from the president. Our economy is doing great, but from whose point of view is our economy doing great, ladies and gentlemen? If you look at the stock market, you may think, oh, wow, it must just be me that's doing really poorly, because the stock market is doing really good, so the economy must be doing really good as well. Well, in my opinion, the stock market does not represent real life. Most people that own the stock market are in the top 10 to 5% of the socioeconomic status. So the stock market pretty much represents the wealth or the paper wealth that is held by those that are not struggling. And if you are one of those that is struggling just to pay your rent, your mortgage, put gas in your car, or even to just buy food, leave it in the comments, because I guarantee you that you are not alone. And hopefully you will enter to win some silver on this video. So make sure you stay tuned so that you can enter to win some silver. It makes me very happy when someone emails me that won some silver and they say, man, I really needed this. And ladies and gentlemen, if you do win, don't be ashamed of taking that silver if you need it and going and cashing it in and paying for something that you need to pay for, because that's what real money is for, is to ensure that the value of your labor has not been lost to inflation. But let me get off my soapbox really quick. Here it says that you will own nothing and be happy. It's just around the corner, because that's what's happening in our economy, is that people are no longer able to afford to own anything. They have to rent, they have to borrow in order to make payments on a car. People are actually putting their groceries on payment plans, etc. People don't even own the food that they already ate in some circumstances. A sound money supply should be at the top of every American's Christmas list this year. And with that, I agree. But it should be at the top of the list all time. Because what you have to understand about sound money, about real money, is that it belongs to you and it cannot be manipulated away from you. All you have to do is take a look at the charts going all the way back to the creation of the Federal Reserve, and you will understand that sound money has lasted the test of time, and it always will. The root cause of this problem is government. The only solution is to remove power from them and stop believing that they have any right to rule over anyone or steal the fruits of their labor. And that's exactly what's happened. And why do I agree that the main problem is government? Because, ladies and gentlemen, even though we may blame the Federal Reserve, we may blame the banks, we may blame the IRS or any three-letter organizations, it is government, it is our so-called representatives that make the rules, regulations, and pass the laws that affect every one of us. And if they're passing laws or regulations that allow big banks and the Federal Reserve and the three-letter organizations get away with stealing from us not only our labor, but our liberties, then it is government. Because it seems that for a long time now, it has not been for we the people, but for them and their cronies. So in 1975, a gentleman by the name of Samuel Benner developed a chart to understand financial disorder. And the chart has accurately forecasted major financial crises and crashes through 150 years, to include the Great Depression, the dot-com bubble, and the 2020 COVID crash. Now take a look at this. I'm not patting myself on the back, but if you all remember, for the last few years now, I've been saying, hey, listen, 2024 to 2025 is going to get really bad. And then it's going to last for several years, all the way up to like 2032 or so. And what I base that off of is that we are on the final part of the fourth turning, which is crises on steroids. And if you take a look at this, he pretty much predicted this all the way back to the Great Depression. But what's important to us now is actionable intel. What's coming next? And you'll see that here he has A, B, and C. And what we're doing now, ladies and gentlemen, if you follow my mouse right here, we are at 2023 is years of hard time. But how long will it last? From 2023 to 2026, it says years of good times, but he's talking about the financial markets. So you've noticed that for the last several years now, the stock exchange has just been going up and up and up. I can't believe it's almost up to 50,000 points. However, there is going to be a downturn starting around the middle of 2026 that will last all the way through 2032. So good news, you still have time to prepare, because it will get its worst around 2032 before we shift to that next paradigm. Now, this chart has been pretty accurate for the entirety of the time that the predictions were set by years. Will it be just as accurate going into 2026 all the way through 2032? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess time would tell. But what is best? Is it best for you to be prepared for what is coming or may be coming, or for you to just don't worry about it, whatever happens, happens? Well, I guess it depends on your own ideology as far as taking care of yours and your family's needs going into the future. But I would put my money on this. Why? Because it's not just this chart. It's everything else. It's all of the cycles that are culminating into this time period that we are experiencing now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not all about money, but it is all about money, because money can be anything. Money can be a can of corn. Money can be a can of Spam. Money can be a silver coin. Money can be gold. Money can be something that you can barter, a service that you can barter for something else that you need. However, there is one form of money that has lasted the test of time, and that is gold and silver. I consider it the same thing because, in my opinion, it is God's money. It's what God left to us so that we can fairly trade. And it seems that God's money is on the move, because if you haven't noticed today, silver hit an all-time high. I went ahead and charted it right here, and it was roughly $69.48. And that's because the East, China and Eastern nations, they are on a silver hoard, ladies and gentlemen. They are accumulating as much as they can. And if you haven't heard, in January, China has set forth some regulations or laws or however it is that they do it over there, where they say that they are no longer going to export silver. That is a huge deal. And we also have companies like Samsung, for example, that is making deals outside of the COMEX and LBMA to buy silver directly from mines, not just a one-time thing for the next several years to come. And not wanting to leave gold out of the picture, gold made an all-time high today as well, all the way up to $4,441 roughly. So it seems that people, and in this case, more importantly, central banks, governments, big institutions, are not waking up, but realizing that the paper game is over. And they are moving into what is real because they know that the gig is up. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much to the sponsor of this video, Alpha Omega Gold, because they also deal with God's money. So Alpha Omega Gold has been really good to the AP community. They're the ones that have given me all this silver that I've been giving away for the last month or so. So if you're looking into starting to stack silver, or if you're looking into taking one of your IRAs and switching it over to a gold and silver IRA because you just can't get the money out of the system right now, then go ahead and give Alpha Omega Gold a call and they will take care of you. There's no pressure selling. There's no gimmicks. It's just taking care of people that want to ensure that they're going to have their wealth protected against the inflation that not only we are seeing right now, but that has yet to come. If you think that inflation has already started, think again. It's just about to start in a big way. That's my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, but I want to say thank you very much to Alpha Omega Gold. So far, a lot of our community members have looked for their services and have been treated very well. So I'm pretty confident in telling you, give them a call if you like, and they will help you out in any way that they can. California faces fuel disaster as refineries and gas stations shut down. I don't understand why the people of California continue to vote in people that sabotage their livelihood. We are only starting to witness the aftermath of the legislation and policies put in place by blue states as a means to control prices. Now, I didn't do any research as to if every single blue state does this, but that's what this says. And in California's case, that is what it is. California, under Governor Newsom, may have staged its own economic demise, the final nail in the coffin. Everything is about energy, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot produce something without destroying something. And normally, in order to produce or make something, you need energy. And that is what is destroyed in order to convert it into something else. After laws were passed requiring even greater state interference into oil refineries and gas stations, California, to me, is starting to sound a little bit like what Venezuela did to itself. They had a thriving oil market where they had experts taking care of their oil reserves and refining oil and all that kind of stuff. And then the state decided to take over, meaning Venezuela. They decided to take over the operations, and look at them now. They're sitting on top of the richest and best oil reserves in the world, and they can't do much with it because they chased off all of their experts thinking that the state could do it better. Experts suggest that prices could go as high as $10 to $12 a gallon. Can you imagine what life would be with $10 to $12 gallon gas? Well, let me tell you one thing real quick. So even in California, sound money has kept up with inflation. Let's say, for example, that in California, gas goes up to $10 a gallon, right? Back in 1960 or so, a gallon of gas on average was about $1.25, about 25 cents, right? But that 25 cents at that time, that quarter was made up of 90% silver. It's called junk silver as we know it today, or constitutional silver. If you take that same quarter today, and you go trade it in at a coin shop or a jewelry shop or whatever, even if they gave you about 10% less than the spot price of that actual 1964 and prior quarter, you would still be able to go buy yourself a $10 gallon of gas, because that quarter today where it would buy you a gallon of gas pre-65, 1964 and prior, can still buy you a $10 gallon of gas today. However, if you don't live in California, you will enjoy the added value that it will garnish you, because you'll be able to buy about 3 or 4 gallons maybe of gas, depending on where you live. But I digress. So $10 to $12 per gallon is a result of supply squeeze, spreading outside of California to Arizona and Nevada. Republican lawmakers say that the loss of in-state production threatens not only consumer prices at the pump, but also the state's military readiness as a matter of national security. And for those of you that are not astute as to what's going on with California, so what they do is they want to be a green state, right? So they want to get rid of ICE engines, internal combustion engines, etc. But what they do is that in order to be green, in order to be ESG compliant, they outsource their carbon consumption to other states and other countries, which in turn makes the prices go up extraordinarily. So what they're doing is they're chasing away those industries that actually make their lives better and cheaper, and then instead buying those same services and products from industries outside of their border, paying a lot more because it takes a lot of money and energy to bring that in to their state. At least that's how I see it. That's probably a simple layman's way of explaining it, but that's what California is doing. They're saying, hey, look at how good we look on paper. Look at this WEF. Look at our ESG score as a state. We do great. But what they're really doing is a zero-sum game, except to the amount of money that is costing their citizens. And here they finish this off by saying blue states like California have been increasingly subjecting their citizens to an experiment in artificial energy scarcity, reducing access to fossil fuels while raising taxes to enforce consumers into the electric car market. Taxes are theft, and taxes are also a way to manipulate what you do, ladies and gentlemen. So let's say, for example, that you just love Pepsi Cola, right? You just love Pepsi, and you're paying $1 for a 2-liter bottle, which I know it's not found nowadays, but just to make it easy. And then the state says, hey, you guys are drinking too much sugar. We're going to have to go ahead and put a sin tax on that. And they put a 300% tax on that 2-liter Pepsi. And now you're paying $3, $4 for a 2-liter bottle. Do you think that people would buy more or less? Well, taxes are a way to manipulate your behavior. All of this is being done in the name of stopping the man-made global warming, a problem which does not exist. Newsom claims that he is trying to help California citizens by lowering gas prices, but all of his actions are leading to a price explosion. Whenever a government official says, hey, I'm here to help, remember what Reagan says? Run away or don't open the door as well. Well, I hope that you all had a good weekend, ladies and gentlemen, and this is probably going to be a little bit of a longer video because I do have a lot to cover. I had a great weekend, by the way. This weekend, I ended up cooking sancocho, which for those of you that don't know is like a Dominican stew, and I only cook it once a year, and that's for my daughter's birthday. So we cooked up sancocho yesterday, had some friends over, had some family over, had a great time, and I actually ate a little bit of rice yesterday, and I was so happy when I did, because when I say a little bit, like 2 tablespoons, right? I mixed it in with my sancocho, and I was so happy that I did because I checked my blood sugar about an hour after that, and it was, man, I was so happy. It was like 81, and 81 is in the normal range. Between 70 and 90, you're doing good. So anyways, I just thought I'd fill you in a little bit there. I was very happy about that when I took my blood sugar, that I did a little dance. But from war on silver to war for silver. You know how we get into so many wars around the world, and it's for resources, right? A war is a resource thing. It's that I want this, or I'm going to stop you from having this in order to get what I want, right? So Just like oil is a resource, and in my opinion, we've had a lot of wars because of oil, even though that's not what they've said it was about. Silver is going to be the next oil, if not already. And right here, Mr. Quayle says that the exploding record high prices for gold, and especially silver this year, silver has gone up over 100% this year, are signaling big trouble brewing for the financial system. And any of you that are in the know should agree with this already. Are prices rising because we are near a global sovereign debt crisis or a wider war with Russia and Ukraine? Are currencies under pressure or in the bond market, or is the bond market, about to tank? It might be any one of these or all of them. But one thing is for sure, the price of silver is going to continue to go up. And I just showed you that it hit another record high this morning. How many of you think that silver is going to end this year at $70 or more? I put my bet on $70 or more by the end of the year. And I also put my bet on gold at, believe it or not, I still think that gold can hit 5,000 before the end of the year. But I would say 4,700 or so. Now listen to this. This is what I was talking about Samsung. Now, first of all, I'm not sure how many of you know that, but Samsung has developed a new battery for electric vehicles that is a solid state battery that uses a whole bunch of silver. Normally, your average EV, electric vehicle, uses roughly 2 ounces of silver per vehicle. This battery that they're going to put in this car uses roughly 1 kilogram. Samsung just cut a deal in Mexico to reopen a mine and take all the production over the next 2 years, ladies and gentlemen, which means that this silver is not even going to hit the market. It's not going to help the COMEX or the LBMA because it's going to go directly from the mine to Samsung. They are bypassing the COMEX, the CME, and the LBMA and getting their raw silver directly from the mine. Quayle knows of nearly a dozen other big tech companies scrambling for silver. And I pointed this out on a previous video that it's suggested, I guess, that Elon Musk is trying to buy a silver mine as well. These guys have known what's been going on for years, and they didn't care to say anything about the manipulation of silver prices. Why would they? When they knew back then how much silver was really needed, but they were able to get it at rock bottom prices. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what. I think that even at $69 or $70 silver, which is only the spot price, if you go try to buy an ounce of silver right now, you're going to probably pay at least 79, 80 bucks for it. All right. So that spot price to me means nothing. What means something to me? How much can you actually get it in your hands for, which is a lot more than the spot price. Well, anyways, I think that this is only the beginning. I don't even think that silver has started its new bull market. It hasn't even finished this cycle. Once it finishes this cycle, I think it'll be, now this is just me thinking out loud, I think it'll be like between $95 and $98 or so. But once it creates a floor at $100, the sky is the limit. Go ahead and earmark or bookmark this video if you like. But I would say that by the next 2 to 3 years, I would say at the most, silver is going to be at least 200 to 300, if not higher. And now we're going to do the drawing for the winner of last week's silver entry for 5 ounces of silver. And this week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be giving away 3 ounces of silver. And you know what? I think we'll use the code word Lulu. My dog's name, Lulu, L-U-L-U. She's looking at me over here when I said her name. She probably thinks I have a treat for her. So if you want to enter to win 3 ounces of silver for this video's entry, which will be announced next Monday, go ahead and leave the word Lulu, all right, L-U-L-U, in a comment in this video, under this video. Don't email me saying Lulu. That does not enter you. It has to be in a comment in this video. I always have to say that because I always get a few emails saying, Lulu, thank you for allowing me to enter, or something like that. All right. You can incorporate the name Lulu into a sentence or a comment or whatever, or just put down Lulu. All right. And you'll be entered to win. And I'll be announcing that next Monday's video. So let's go ahead and see who won last week's entry for 5 ounces of silver. Okay, here is the URL for the video for the 5 ounce entry. And let's go ahead and see how many people went ahead and left a comment. All right. And we have 1,734 comments that are eligible for the entry. And remember that the code word was peace, P-E-A-C-E. And AP, why are you only giving away 3 ounces of silver for this video's entry? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I only have a few ounces left, and I do want to save a few ounces to do a celebration live stream once silver breaks $100, all right? When will that be? I don't know, but we'll find out together. Now let's go ahead and pick the winner of the 5 ounces from last week's video. And remember that if you don't contact me by this Sunday, you will forfeit your prize and I will just pay it forward. All right. So the winner is, look at that, Tim Harmon 458. Peace on earth. Amen to that. Tim Harmon 458. You're the winner of 5 ounces of silver. Man, by the time that silver makes it to you, it might be worth $500. Who knows? I hope that you don't need it, but I hope that if you do, you use it to better your life in any small way possible. So Tim, go ahead and send me an email to this, let's see, it's going to be over here, to this email address. And remember that if you don't contact me by Sunday, the 29th or the 28th, I think is Sunday. Sunday is the 28th. It's right here written down. If you don't contact me by that time to that email address to claim your prize, then you're going to forfeit it. So make sure that you contact me because I want you to have that silver that you won. So thank you very much for entering and being part of this community. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I love every one of you, and I do mean that. So God bless you all. And thank you very much, Alpha Omega Gold, for sponsoring this video and providing us with some real money to give away.